It sometimes surprises me the routes people take in this hobby and what they're actually looking for. Often, when I come across somebody's philosophy in regards to audio and what they're trying to achieve, my intrigue is piqued and the conversation fascinates me. There are those who reach for the reference. A common phrasing that gets misused, but the underlying message is clear. I want no deviation from what the natural sound is. And then we have some other people, those who are only looking for the best performance of the songs they love. And it doesn't matter if it's reference, colored, accentuated, or exaggerated. And occasionally, we come across a product that combines all. Welcome to the Verite Closed review. This beauty is the love child of Zachary Meerbach. The gentleman and his wife run ZMF, Zachary Meerbach Films. Previously, they used to modify headphones from Fostex, and with the sheer brilliance and the technical abilities of this gentleman, it wasn't too surprising before they came up with their own drivers and their own headphones that are now industry leading and some of the most well prized and well sought after in our communities. Just to illustrate the sheer brilliance of the lineup of headphones he produces, I will show you what our communities have collected from this company. Best of the best, the crowning jewel of ZMF, we have these. Their flagships, the Verite Closed in ironwood construction. Now, you are presented with a display box that is the same wood as the headphones themselves. So let's take a tour, shall we? As we undo the clasp and lift this heavy lid that is well padded, we are presented with the beautiful headphones. Now, I'm going to take the headphones out first and set them aside. And underneath we have Allen key inside a very fluffy thing, which I will show you in a minute. Let's put this big box aside for now. Let's look at the accessories we get. We get a copper OCC cable. This is the basic one, mini XLR to single-ended 6.3 jack. This cable does not keep its shape. It's absolutely wonderful. It's probably one of the actual best company cables I've come across. Even when you spool it like this and you stretch it out again, it stays perfectly straight. Beautiful. Mini XLRs, as mentioned, absolutely beautiful. Then we get a second set of pads. These pads are angled. Thinner at the front, thicker at the back. They're lambskin. Definitely leather, and they're so soft. They're so freaking soft. But we will discuss the sound characteristics of this pad in the sound section of the review. And then we get this fluffy case with a Allen key. I've not actually even looked at this. It's brand new. These are to service the headphones yourself. Every single part of the headphones, as we will go through in a second, is serviceable, which is wonderful. Put that there. Don't need that. And we get a card which is still sealed from Zachary himself and the team with your serial number. These headphones specifically are the ironwoods, the most sought after, the hardest wood they produce, and a lot of people say the best sounding. But that is neither here nor there, because the wood that is used in the VCs doesn't make that much difference, maybe just some resonances, which we will explore. Now, I think I've ranted and raved enough. Let's talk about the headphones themselves. These headphones, being one of the woods that ZMF produces the Verite Closed in, you've got monkey pot, you've got camphor wood, and I will throw all the wood types so you can see what wood gets used on these beautiful headphones. These are the heaviest. These weigh 700 grams, yet weigh on the head like a 300-gram headphone due to the most perfect distribution and alleviation of pressure. Magnesium surrounding is used. Real leather is used for the headband, and then we have a headband strap underneath the headband to distribute that weight perfectly. I've not seen any other headphone manufacturer do this. I've not come across one yet. It works so well. Now, every part of this headphone is handmade. Apart from the threading within the cups, which is CNC machined, everything is checked, rechecked, handmade. You will not find another headphone like this on the market. Other companies produce headphones on mass scale. From ZMF, you get limited quantities, yet every single one is checked over by the technicians at the lab there. And then we look at these beautiful closed back cups. These ironwood, hard, listen, they sound solid. Absolutely solid. Going around the headphone, we have angle drivers inside so that the drivers are pointing forward a little bit. These O2 hybrid pads, which we will be doing most of the review, sound characteristic wise for this review is what's on this unit. It's my daily driver, it's the most comfortable, it's the best clamp, and it's the best sonic performance for my specific subjective tastes. I actually like the universals for specific genres, but we will get back onto that momentarily. This headphone can be serviced. Like I mentioned in the beginning, every single part of the headphone can be decoupled from the rest of the frame. These rods can come in a variety of colors. You got these steel ones, you got black, you got rose gold, and a few other colors, but these are the most durable so that paint doesn't chip over long durations. You adjust the headphone size by spinning these cups in a full 360-degree axis, making sure that the bottom part of the rod is still connected to the cups, because the cups are connected via the rod underneath here, and the headband is connected via the rod in the middle here. This bit goes up and down, and this bit stays stable. It's best to get some fasteners for your VC just so that those cups don't come flying off. This headphone is beautiful. This headphone is luxury. This headphone will be an heirloom. It is something you buy if you're lucky enough to be able to approach this price point, anywhere from $2,600 up to $3,600 for the limited edition, I think, because I've seen some of those really high up because they're rare. So those are the headphones. That's the beautiful hardware you look at. Let me face them towards you. Obviously underneath the cups is the Mini XLR. So let's talk about some of the specifications of this headphone. This is a 300 ohm dynamic driver headphone. Sensitivity is at 99 dB. It drops to 10 Hz all the way up to 25 kHz. ZMF have used a polyethylene naphthalate driver. The reason why they use polyethylene naphthalate or PEN, Zach states for audio it provides flexibility more than a solid metal driver. They can also surround the driver with a rubber ring that is bigger than traditional for less distortion. Compared to other manufacturers' plastic composites like PET. So that's the construction. As you can see, like anything else in the world, when something is made with love, when something is made with passion, when there is soul behind a product, something special always is derived from that. It feels as though a small part of the person who made it is infused not only with these headphones, but in every area of art and passion. Look at the Lord of the Rings films. will there ever be their like again? I don't think so. I don't think there is a single headphone on the market, including some of the best behind me in the industry, have this much soul within the headphone themselves. This is something you buy and you never release. Are there caveats? We will get onto that later on in the review. So you've seen how it looks. Unfortunately, I can't show you how it feels. It's time we get onto the sound. Extending a massive thank you for Grant for this privilege of being able to use these headphones on a daily basis for the last 2.5 months. He bought it around when the channel hadn't even begun with the Sesvaras, and I fell in love the moment I opened that box. Quite a lot of the sound characteristics, I will do my best to give an objective opinion just so that you can convey and see what I'm trying to say. But so much of my subjectivity is tied up within this as well, so I want you to bear that in mind too. But we will separate the two. I will provide my subjective feelings about this headphone in the conclusion. For transparency's sake, I will let you know what systems this headphone has been ran on. Behind me is the Chord TT2, a special thank you to Mo, the Chord M Scaler, a massive thank you to Jez, the Hypsos from Ferrum, and the OR and the DAC3 from Benchmark, a massive heartfelt thank you to Mimic from Mimic Cables, where you can buy all of these equipment. He has become a dealer for Fostex, for Focal, for Benchmark, for IFI, for Dekoni, and the list is endless. And if you are interested in any of those products, I would appreciate it if you could show him your love. Obviously, no money changes hands. He just sends stuff in for review, which I really do appreciate. He has been supporting the channel ever since we had 100 subscribers, all the way back to the beginning of the channel. The Topping A90 D90 and the ZMF pendant itself. So we have used this headphone on a large amount of equipment and some of the most hard-hitting equipment in the industry. Let's talk about the overall sound. First, I will take the driver's capability before talking about this headphone with these pads specifically, because this headphone is one of the best I have ever come across for pad rolling. And I know people in our community who have 5 to 10 pads, so it feels as though they've got 10 different headphones in one. And if you understand and get an understanding of the basis of the driver so that you know what it's capable of, then we can change the deviations of that frequency response and capability with these sets of pads, with the pads that's already on here, and with another bunch of pads that's back there already. I should have actually taken it out, but rushing around, I forgot, so I'll throw it on screen. The characteristics of the cups, the driver, and the utilization of all is open. Probably some of the biggest sounding closed backs I've come across, bar the HD 820, which I can't stand. I think it's the worst headphone on the planet. It's horrible, it feels like a cave, but because of these ironwoods, listen, solid. There is no bad resonances that sustain for far too long. The damping factor of these headphones is wonderful. So you've got this enormous floor space. Not only width, height, and behind you, but true depth as well. The sound characteristics of the ZMF VERITE Closed is warm. Not smoothed over, just an infusion of heat. This can be mitigated or exacerbated with pads. It's detail galore without the utopia razor edge in your face analytical unnaturalness. Its imaging is some of the best that I have come across, and I have Elites here somewhere. Right there. I have Sesvara's right there. This headphone has been put up against Sesvara's Elites, Lyric, Fostex 909s, Diana V2, Focal-Stellia, and the list is endless. It has a bass response that sustains every single note, whether you're going from drop C all the way to upper A, for example, on a piano, with the same resonances so it doesn't drop. Your eardrums will feel the same note if it's a F sharp all the way dropping down to a C, yet the note is higher obviously. You get punch and you get attack from the mid bass. You get some of the most beautiful mid-range I have ever heard. Oh my goodness, on the TT2, which we'll get into. That includes Sesvara's, by the way. And you have a beautiful, smooth, laid-back treble with detail that does not hurt your ears. You can throw any genre of music, whether it's live orchestra all the way to EDM on this. Metal, rock, even badly mastered music. It will show you that the music you're listening to is bad, but it will not take away from the soul of the song. Let's break down the frequency response. The sub bass on the Verite Closed is elevated. Around 20 Hz, you get the full impact of every single note. It's well textured, it's well defined, and it has incredible positional focus within the stage it's in, so that it doesn't feel like the drivers are making the bass noise left and right of you, but the actual instrument itself is. Sesvara is one of those other ones that does this characteristic. Now, this can be exacerbated in a very good way and more focused on better equipment, such as the TT2 behind me, or on the pendant, than something like the Top in A90, where it's a bit more contracted, compressed, yet with perfect definition, texture, and visceral rumble. Absolutely incredible for EDM. Taking something from Monster Cat from 2017 or taking Infected Mushrooms back to the Source album. It feels as though you have a pair of subwoofers in the bass region with perfect definition, and each note is swollen so that it's identifiable all around it, not just within the note itself. The note floats in the air and there's empty space around it, so that how this headphone is on the table with the marble around it, you can see the surroundings in your mind's eye. Climbing up to the mid bass, it's slightly elevated in the frequency response. Now this, depending on the pads you're using, we're using the O-Tour hybrids right now, it's slightly elevated. So you get that punch, you get that attack, and you get that thump right in your eardrum. It's very well focused so that the kick drum seems to come from a central point right there, without it impinging on some other instrument that is actually focused in this area of the stage. Yet it's not bloomy. It's not exaggerated in a bad way, but it's got the weight. It actually feels heavy. The kick drum feels like it's got kilos behind it, not just ethereal. Climbing up to the upper bass region, this is where the perfect tuning of these drivers shine. It never feels thin when things are happening in the treble region that require the upper bass region to assist it, like horns, for example, or the tom-toms on usually the left-hand side of the drum kit. As you go to the right like this to the floor tom-toms, the sound gets deeper and deeper and more resonated and more weighty. Those drums of a higher note still has the weight and the impact because the upper bass region is assisting it. It's not bleeding into the lower mids in the slightest, which brings us to the lower mids. It's slightly forward with emphasis, texture, and presence. Every instrument has actual presence within the stage, which is wonderful. It pops. Another one of that is this one, the Elite. Every instrument feels as though it's holographically floating in the air, yet with weight. Rising to the mid-mids, it's a slight forwardness, then tilting slightly back, but with a beautiful rise. You lose nothing. Beautiful guitar textures. Plucking of strings floats in the air, yet swollen, each note, and infused with actual weight. Some of the best timbre of mid-range I've heard, depending on the equipment you use. Fortunately for us, the chord is behind us. The upper mid-range region is where I have problems due to my hearing. I am very sensitive to this area, yet this is smooth as silk, never shouty. The most perfect, I've been using that word a lot, tonal balance for vocals. Whether it's male or female, singing from low to high, you get a beautiful rise, natural rise, without feeling like there is EQ at presence. Unfortunately, some headphones sound like they're being EQ'd on the fly and it just irritates me to hell. There's wonderful presence of instruments and vocals. The treble region with these pads is rather laid back, but you lose none of the detail, so that a cello, when it's playing the higher notes, resonate, and you get the cabin resonation from the actual instrument itself within this spot of the stage. And it's beautiful. Do I have any gripes about the frequency response? We will jump onto that in a second. Violin is presented realistically. Clarinet is presented realistically in the treble region. Yet it's relaxed. Nothing is thrown in your face. Yet the stage can shrink and expand. So in the treble region, we've got a beautiful rise, but it's slightly laid back. The lower treble and the upper mids do not clash and come forward like the LCD XC. Where is it? Up there somewhere. Where, for me, it was a bit too much. Yet the tonal balance of the headphone is nice, but on this is real. Beautifully realistic. Can't stop touching these headphones, man. So beautiful. So beautiful. So the frequency response, they've done a wonderful job. Let's talk about the staging and the imaging. The imaging on this headphone is some of the best I've heard, including Elites. Those two headphones are very special. The Elites can do something only a handful of headphones can do, and I'll put Sasvara into that mix too, where it feels as though you can reach out and grab the instrument, literally, because it pops. But what the Verite does that I've heard on no other headphone, because other headphones shrink and expand wonderfully, that's fine. We are dealing with flagships all the way from $2,000 to $6,000. But what the Verite do is have the ability to come right up to your eyeballs, so that when the tom-toms strike and the way in the mix is being laid out, you can actually feel as though the stick's gonna hit your face. Yet the singer is back there. So at that point of contraction of the stage where the sound is coming forward, none of the rest of the stage loses focus because they're all the way back there. That is something I've only heard on these headphones. The way it has the ability to come forward is mesmerizing. And I absolutely love it for that, for looking around the stage in my mind's eye and seeing every sound come forward, back at angles, and yet be able to come right up here, right to your eyes. It's insane. You just need to provide a very good source, a beautiful tone amplifier, and you will be in heaven. Images don't blur across the stage. They go left to right, back and forward and up and down really well, and behind you as well. They do not lose focus in that phase manner, where sounds are phased away and it feels as though they've done this to a mixing desk. No, it's just over there. It's as simple as that. Jump into timbre and tonal balance. It's some of the best. It's as simple as that. It's so engaging, it's realistic sounding. The instruments, that is. The tonal balance is not referenced though. It's warm, it's luscious, it's beautified. It's a punchy OLED compared to an LCD. It's really beautified. But the timbre of the instruments is real. You lose nothing of the realism of instruments and vocals because of the tonal balance they've gone for. They work in unity to give you the best experience of the song you're playing through it. Jump into detail and micro detail. This headphone is extremely slammy. It's extremely punchy. It has the ability to hit you in the chest with the bass, yet punch you in the face with a mid bass, which is great. Detail and dynamics is not lost, but it's not in your face. It's not a Focal-Stellia. A Stellia puts things under a razor microscope. It's not realistic. It's analytical listening, and it's a different type of listening. This shows you what an instrument sounds like with the details in placement, working in harmony, not forward, not backwards, but within the instrument's range. These are some of my favorite headphones of all time. Subjectively, these are some of the most beautiful headphones that has been created. And I include the CMA Elite in that as well. The review for that is actually under progress. Now we have covered the frequency response. As it pertains to the Autour hybrid pads, these ones, which are lambskin on the outside and this velour beautiful comfort on the inside, quite stiff yield. Let's talk about the universal lambskin and the Autour lambskin. This one is actually tapered, thicker at the back, thinner at the front, and this one is just a round flat design. Now this one yields much quicker and it bounces back a lot quicker than the Autour hybrids. These sort of push in and then slowly bounce back up. These ones are in between. So you got fast, slightly fast, slow. I found these ones to be the darkest, the most muted, and the more kind of like a flat frequency response as it pertains to the drivers and the characteristics of these headphones themselves. It was like a dark, relaxed sound signature, but a bit more reference and a bit more muted. I don't care for these ones myself. I don't use these ones myself much at all. These ones are okay. They're for a specific type of audience that actually just want flat. Dark, but flat. I didn't find them too engaging, so they've had the least amount of usage and I'm least familiar with them. These ones I do use on a regular basis. I think these are the Autour hybrids. These ones I use on a regular basis. These are the angled pads. These provide a little bit more detail. They are a bit brighter than these. These are a bit more warm, laid back, a bit more of the Diana-esque soundscape, I think, but these ones are a lot closer to the Diana sound signature, to be honest with you, from what I can recall from memory, yet those had a bit more vibrancy and a bit more warmth in the mid-range. But these ones I do utilize on a regular basis. These ones, these angled pads, actually provide a bit more detail, a bit more excitement in the treble region, especially when dealing with EDM music or dealing with classical music that requires a bit more air, a bit more vibrancy in the treble region than these. These Autour hybrids are a bit more all-arounder, more soulful, more warm, more beautiful, more laid back. So these are definitely my favorites. The Autour hybrids are definitely my favorites. But these do get used on a regular basis. I find the headphones become a little bit less uncomfortable with these because of the lack of clamp force that they provide. These have got the most perfect weight, clamp force and distribution of all the pads here. I need to actually get the Icon suedes in as well to try those, and I'll put it in the comment section down below once my experience kind of is put through the ringer, and I'll actually let you guys know what I think of that. But These ones, a bit more detailed, a bit brighter, a bit more lively, a bit more mid-range, less focused. Yet the focus is still there, but it's not as mid-range focused as the Otour hybrids. Not to my ears, anyway. If we were gonna put them on a scale, I would put these as the most flat, dark sounding of the three. Then I would choose these as a bit more treble emphasized, a bit more attack in the mid-bass region, a little bit more energetic, a bit more EDM centric, and a bit brighter. Then I would choose these as the all-around, perfect for every genre, perfect comfort for all. Let's talk about system pairing and how each one dealt with this headphone. On the AW stack with the Benchmark DAC3, you get more of an analytical listen, yet the headphones still providing some of its warmth in the mid-range, some of its beautiness, but it's a bit more, due to that DAC, analytical. It's a bit more reference, it's a bit more, dare I use the word dry, but take that at the apex of its borderline of the word. It's a bit more reference. You get all the detail. You get the presentation of the track. You get a lot of the engagement, but you don't get the pendants. Humongous holographic stage. Holy hell, the vocals on the pendant on VC. It's so present, so large, and yet not overbearing. But tubes have their own caveats. I think we'll drop the review for that at some point soon. Waiting for it to warm up, can't leave the desk. A ceremony. Tube rolling. Some people will love it for this. Most people actually run Verite closed on tubes. I love it 50-50. And finally, before I jump onto the final system, the Topping A90D90 is a lesser version of the AW and the DAC3 obviously. You get everything the DAC3 I mentioned, but lesser. But finally, on the Chord TT2 and the M scaler, it felt as though I was sitting in the floor space of the stage in front of the singer. I didn't think about equipment. I didn't think about a $10,000 setup. I did not think about Verite's ironwood. That is rare. And I think there's only 87 made, but I could be wrong. I just fell in love with the song. It's one of the best systems I've heard, and that includes a Svara Benchmark AHB2 and a Hollow Spring DAC. I use the warm filter and crossfeed too. I get an enormous stage. I get to be present with the singer. I get to imbibe the song, and I get to leave this world behind for a short time. Like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I think some of ZMF, some of Zach's soul resides within this headphone. Some of the love, some of the understanding of music and what sounds good, not what sounds reference. At all points, that is, because instruments sound realistic as hell. Some of that love and understanding, innate understanding of music and how things should be presented resides in this headphone. It's an absolute privilege and an absolute honor to be reviewing this headphone. And it's a love letter to ZMF, because I have Svara's here, touted the world's best headphone by pretty much everyone. And yet, my love for these headphones exceeds those because of what it does. But like with everything, there are caveats. So let's go through some of those now. These headphones you have to be careful of. The fasteners, as I mentioned, at the bottom of the cups where the rods connect to these magnesium arches need to be fastened, because more than once, by keep doing this, they have become loose, and I've actually held the cup in my hand like that, and I've been terrified to my core. Because if that's been on your head and the cup just comes off and bounces across the floor, can these be machined? Can these be handmade like this again and repaired? Is this wood even obtainable that quickly and easily? I don't think so. That scares the living hell out of me. Not because of the price of the headphones, but because of the rarity of the headphones. These headphones you're supposed to keep in this condition and pass on to your grandkids when they have got chips embedded in their brain in 30, 40 years, and you're sitting in a house where there are actual live socket plugs and not everything's wireless electricity. And they go, let's go to granddad's house. He's got them funny big headphones that make sound. I can't believe he's still doing that. This is that kind of heirloom. Other headphones are just crapped out by factories. This is a Swiss watch. This is a Ferrari. This is a personal house built by the people who want to live there. So that's one caveat. My other caveat is the ironwoods are quite heavy. They're 700 grams, and I did state that they are the most comfortable 700 gram headphones I have ever experienced. They weigh like 300 on my head. It feels as though I can wear it all day. But people have found these ironwoods heavy. You can go from 450 grams with a monkey pot and other types of woods, but if you want the best of the best, you should hunt for an ironwood. But all of them are as beautiful as each other, as well looked after as each other, and as cared for as each other. So I don't think it's gonna make much difference to the sound. Maybe a tiny bit in the resonances. This one is solid. Those are a little bit more probably echoey, and the notes will reside a little bit and sustain for a little bit longer and decay a little bit longer. But some people might actually like that feeling of as if they're in a concert hall. But these are very well dampened. And my other complaint is that these rods in the rose gold and black and stuff have been known to peel color-wise. That's why these are the steel ones, because none of that issue will basically happen. But that has been known to happen. So bear that in mind as well. What's incredible is that these come with a lifetime warranty for the drivers, which is the most important part of the headphone. And that can't be understated. So conclusion. What are my subjective thoughts, though I sprinkled it throughout the review as well? I love these. These are one of the best headphones I have ever reviewed, heard and experienced in the last 18 years of audio. And I've got some seriously hard-hitting headphones in here in the studio. Some of the industry's best. And still, these shine. I think you should own one of these. I think they can be your one and only headphone. Have a tube amplifier, have a solid state, and call it a day. And then all of these pads as well, if you want. Let's do the scores. Zach from ZMF, this is for you. Build quality, the highest we can give here. 5 tigers. Design and beauty. From me personally, 5 tigers, the highest score we can give. Sound quality, adaptation to pads, and consistency in the frequency response for all genres of music. 5 tigers. Presentation, customer support, enthusiasm by the creator of these headphones, one of the most wonderful people in our community. Just listen to one of his interviews to see the passion. 5 tigers. I'm privileged to say these headphones get across the board 5 tiger scoring. Thanks again to Grant for lending this unit in for review. It's been an absolute honor. And thank you to you, viewers. Thank you to you, our Patreon members. And thanks to you, the wonderful people that send in things for review, that allow us to bring you reviews such as these. And in comparisons to these, like the FOCAL-STEL-LTD review up here, the LCD XC mentioned, check out the review up here, or Sesvara's, or some of the industry's best, the review cards will be up here. For you to see what these headphones can do despite some of those up there. I will see you next time. I am Koji CEO. Peace.